This week's episode of the And She Looked Up podcast is brought to you by Fine Lime Designs. If the name sounds familiar, that's because it's my design business and the work I do there helps make this podcast possible. If you love colorful and whimsical art prints, greeting cards, and journaling stickers, then head over to my Etsy shop for a delightful browse. Just search for Fine Lime, like the fruit, designs, all one word, on Etsy, or click the link in the show notes. And now, on with this week's episode. Welcome to the And She Looked Up podcast. Each week, we sit down with inspiring Canadian women who create for a living. We talk about their creative journeys and their best business tips, as well as the creative and business mindset issues all creative entrepreneurs struggle with. I'm your host, Melissa Hartfiel, and after leaving a 20-year career in corporate retail, I've been happily self-employed for 12 years. I'm a graphic designer, an illustrator, and a multi-six-figure-a-year entrepreneur in the digital content space. This podcast is for the artists, the makers, and the creatives who want to find a way to make a living doing what they love. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the And She Looked Up podcast. As always, I'm your host, Melissa, and this week, I'm here all by myself. This week's episode was unplanned, and it is in direct response to the episode that aired 2 weeks ago, episode number 92, where Heather Travis and I talked about 20 email newsletter ideas for creatives that aren't too salesy. If you got through that episode, kudos to you. It was a long one. It clocked in, I think, at over an hour and a half, but it was jam-packed to the gills with loads of ideas for those of you who are struggling with what to send out to your email list. And by the way, if you sign up for the And She Looked Up email, you will get a checklist copy that includes all 20 plus ideas that were mentioned in the episode. It's a really handy little checklist to have for when you're trying to figure out what you should be sending to your list. You can just whip that up and get some inspiration right away. So if you would like to get a copy of that, just head over to andshelookedup.com and sign up for our emails, and you will get your free copy in your next email. I had a ton of feedback on that episode, and first of all, I just want to say to those of you who did reach out to say how helpful the episode was, thank you so much. I don't get a lot of feedback on the podcast, so when I do, it is so very much appreciated. It lets me know that I'm doing something right, and it gives me an idea of what you want to hear more of, and it's just nice. It's just nice to know that people are listening and that I'm hitting the right note with some of you. So thank you very much if you did reach out to let me know that it was a helpful episode. One of the things in that episode that people did have questions about was the idea of a forever series. So in the episode, I mentioned forever series and welcome series, and I kind of brushed over them because for a lot of people, when they're first setting up their newsletter, this would be considered a more advanced topic. It's not a hard topic or a difficult topic to implement, but it is a little bit more advanced and sort of the second step. So I thought what would be a good idea would be to record an episode today that talks about Forever series. It will be much shorter than the previous episode on emails, but I'm hoping that it can help all of you out because I actually think Forever series are one of the most valuable tools that we have in our toolbox to stay in front of our audiences consistently and to sell consistently without being too salesy. So first question I get asked is, what is a forever series? So let's dive into that. A forever series is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It is a series of emails that you preload into your email provider, MailChimp, ConvertKit, whatever you use, Flowdesk, there's many of them out there. And they go out on a regular basis. You can choose how frequently they go out. Most people tend to choose a weekly send frequency, but it's up to you. You might want to send them out twice a week. You might want to send them out twice a month. Entirely up to you. But they're a series of emails, and they just go out consistently every week without any interference from you. And the beautiful part about them is that the minute somebody signs up for your list, they immediately get sent into your Forever Series email flow. So if I sign up today, I will get email 1 in your series. Next week, I'll get email 2. The week after that, I'll get email 3, and so on for as long as your series runs. And series can run anywhere from 10 emails to literally hundreds of them. I have a client who has over 150 emails in her Forever Series, and we still consistently add new ones every month. Once I'm in your list, I'm going to get those emails on a regular basis. Now, if somebody else signs up to your list a month from now, they're going to get the first email in the series, and then they're going to get the second, and then the third, and the fourth, and so on, so that at any given time, all your subscribers could potentially be at a different point in the series. And that's the beauty of it. It's just constantly working in the background, staying engaged with your audience on a regular basis. And that is so valuable, no matter what creative genre, industry, or niche you are in. Being able to stay in front of your audience and to connect with them without necessarily having to show up physically every week is a huge benefit for you. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. So, how is this different from your regular emails that you send out and from a welcome series? Because I think many people are very familiar with what a welcome series is. If you're not, a welcome series is essentially a short series of emails that people get when they join your list that tell them about who you are and what you do. And we did another episode back in 2021. I'm just trying to find the episode number for you all. I will put it in the show notes, but it was an episode we did with Trina Waller, and she is from Redemption Marketing, and she specializes in doing email marketing for small businesses. And she talked about what a welcome series was in that episode, as well as all the different types of emails that you want to put in that series. And that episode was episode 59, Email Marketing Basics for Your Creative Business with Trina Waller. So it was a great episode. I highly recommend that if you don't have a welcome series, or if you're brand new to email marketing, that you go give that a listen. Then listen to last week's episode, number 92, with me and Heather, where we tell you about all the different ways that you can connect with your email list. But an email series a welcome series is a little different from a forever series, because a forever series is meant to be evergreen, so that at any point in time, if somebody lands in your forever series funnel, the emails will make sense to them. A welcome series is very much about introducing you and your business and what you do in a short amount of time to your audience. And those series can be anywhere from one email to, I do know somebody who has a 20 email welcome series. That might be a bit long. Most tend to be in the 3 to 5 range, and then they're done. They also tend to send a little more frequently. So your welcome series might go out over a period of 5 or 6 days, as opposed to going out once a week for weeks. So that's the basic difference between a forever series and a welcome series. A forever series does not replace your regular real-time emails that you send out. So I do highly recommend that you send out a regular email either on a weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly schedule, where you talk about what's going on with you, with your business at that point in time. This is where you can address the seasons. So it might be things like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas. This is where you can showcase new launches, all kinds of different things. Again, that's what we talked about in that mammoth episode that Heather and I did. So if you're looking for ideas, go back and listen to that episode. But that's essentially the difference. They're three very different things. They all have a unique purpose and they all achieve different things. So what are you going to put in your Forever series? And this is the big question. Ideally, you want them to be evergreen content. And evergreen content is content that is relevant at any time in the year. So it's not Christmas content. It's not Mother's Day content. It's something that if I were to get it tomorrow, it would make sense to me. Like, it would be useful. If you run a business that has a content marketing piece to it, and by content marketing, I'm talking about a blog. So if you are a blogger, so you could be a food blogger, a fashion blogger, a travel blogger, or a writer, a Forever series is a no-brainer for you. It is so simple, and so you have so much content already created that you can repurpose in a Forever series that's so useful. I work with food bloggers who have been doing this for over a decade, and they literally have hundreds and in some cases thousands of recipes that they have created over the course of a decade. And a Forever series is a great way for them to get some of those older recipes that don't get eyeballs as frequently back into circulation. And that's where it can really benefit you if you're a blogger. If you are not a blogger, but you still have a content marketing piece to your business, so you write a blog to go with your business, and I know a lot of artists do this. It doesn't have to be a written blog. It could be a YouTube channel. You could create a Forever series where you share older YouTube videos that maybe don't get as many views today as they did when you first put them out. So I'm thinking of someone like one of the first YouTubers I came across was Bailey J. I was looking for a tutorial on how to use Copic markers. This was several years ago, and I searched YouTube and I found she had multiple tutorials on how to use them. And that would have made a great email in a Forever email series. Is just, here are my top 5 videos on how to use Copic markers. That is a piece of content that anybody could get at any time, and it would make sense to them. Not everybody on her list might be interested in how to use Copic markers, but a percentage of them will be, and that's what you're aiming for. So that's the kind of content that we're thinking about here. So you could be, if you have a YouTube channel, it's a great way to get those old videos in front of people. If you have a blog, even if you're not a blogger in quotation marks, but you have a blog, it's another great way to get that content in front of people. And that's the idea. You want to reuse that old content, give it new life, make it work really hard for you, because I'm willing to bet that you put a ton of time and effort into creating that content. So why not make sure as many eyeballs get on it for as long as you possibly can, especially if it saves you some time in the long run. That's the kind of content that you want to think about putting in your Forever series. So what if you're not a content creator though? Will this work for you? And yes, it will. So let's say that maybe you are a photographer and you specialize in family portraits. You could have a Forever series that highlights all the different ways that a family could work with you, and include all the different tips and strategies for preparing for a photo shoot, how to shop around for a photographer, how to convey what you want from your photographer, the types of questions to ask a potential photographer, what you should wear to your first shoot, all the different times that you might want to hire a photographer. So maybe you want to do a family portrait, maybe you want to celebrate your child graduating from from elementary school, from middle school, from high school, from university. Maybe it's a maternity shoot, maybe it's a newborn shoot, maybe it's a wedding shoot. It's going to depend on the niche that your business is. Maybe you're the type of family photographer who likes to be there for all the milestones in your client's business. Maybe you only work with a specific segment of that business. But start thinking about all the different things that you could put in a series of emails, because these emails are meant to be very short, very to the point, and not bog people down. And that's another thing I should mention with these emails, is that you do want to keep them very short. You want to keep them short, sweet, to the point, and just sort of like a little appetizer to your main newsletter that goes out regularly. So in the food world, which is where I mainly work, most of my clients tend to do very similar things, and I call them mini recipe digests. So what we'll do is we'll choose 5 recipes, we'll take the picture and the link, and we'll put them in the email. So it's 5 pictures, 5 links, and then at the very top, we'll have a 2 to 3 sentence intro explaining what the theme is this week and what the different recipes are that are included. So this week I just wrote one on fried desserts. Okay, but it could be dishes that use cauliflower. It could be meals that are ready in 5 minutes. It could be super simple snacks to put in a lunchbox. It could be how to cook chicken breasts, or how to cook chicken thighs, or how to cook a whole chicken, or there's so many different possibilities when you get into the realm of food. But that's all it is. It's 5 recipes. It's not a lot of chit chat. We're not talking about what's going on with the person, with my client. We're not talking about their seasonal launches. We're not doing any of that. It's just recipes, links, and a blurb. That's it. And that's kind of what you want to aim for. You want to make it so that it is just bite-sized content in those particular emails. So if you're going to write an email, say on 5 ways to prep for your photo shoot, your family photo shoot, that's all it's going to be. It's just going to be 5 bullet points. You know, these are the clothes you should bring. This is the colors you should avoid. This is what to do, what we're going to do if it rains. You know, something super simple. You're going to know your industry better than I will. But again, 5 links to 5 of my favorite Copic marker tutorials. Something like that. So it's really, you're keeping it as simple and as tight as possible, because the other idea is that you want to be able to create these in bulk. You want to be able to just sit down and churn out 5, 10, 15 of these once a quarter kind of thing, so that it's not something you're doing every week. It's something that you write in batches, you load them up into your email platform, and you're done. Hit the schedule button, you walk away. So yes, if you're a photographer, maybe that's what you're going to talk about. So in my case, I'm an illustrator, but I do have a blog, and I've got, all kinds of content on being creative and how I create work and all that. And I'm sure that I could cobble together a pretty straightforward forever series from existing content that I already have on my website. Now, you're probably wondering how often these could go out. And again, you want to keep it consistent. Most people I work with tend to send them out once a week. But if you've got a ton of content, maybe you're going to send them out twice a week. If you have less content, maybe you're going to send them out twice a month or monthly. But the idea behind this is you want to keep it as consistent as possible. So if you're going to send them out weekly, there's 52 weeks in a year. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're going to send them out monthly, there's 12 months in a year. So you're going to have a different volume of email. And if you're a content creator, I'm going to suggest that you send them out weekly. If you're not a content creator, then maybe monthly is a much better option for you. But the idea is consistency and staying connected to your audience. And that is one of the big reasons why you want to do this. There's a few reasons why you want to do this. First of all, if you are a content creator and you run ads on your website, you know that traffic makes you money. So the more people you can get landing on your site, the more money you make every month. And you can rely on Google search to help bring people to you. You can rely on Pinterest to help bring people to you. But if you work in the content creation realm, you know that Google can change its algorithm, and suddenly your content maybe isn't getting in front of as many eyes. You know that Pinterest can do wacky things. I don't know anybody who's not frustrated with Pinterest right now, that can directly impact your ability to bring traffic to your website. But what you do control is your email list. And so by sending to people consistently, you are able to bring them to your website. And when they click over to your website, you earn money. So right there, this Forever series is making you income. So it's not entirely passive income. I don't believe in passive income, but it's about as close as you can get to passive income. It's going to take a day of your time once a quarter to create those emails, get them loaded into your system, and then you've got people coming to visit you on a weekly basis, no matter where in their subscriber journey with you they are. They also, and I cannot stress this enough, they keep you engaged with your audience, even when you get so busy that you can't necessarily send out your regular newsletter. So this has happened to all of us. Life gets in the way. Maybe you're having a baby. Maybe you want to take a vacation. Maybe you want to take time off to write a book, or you need to look after a parent, or your kids get sick, or you get sick. And for some reason, you're not able to show up every week the way that you normally would. And when you stop showing up, unfortunately, people's memories can be very short. And so if you stop showing up, they tend to forget that you're there. But if you've got a forever series running in the background, no matter what's going on in your personal world, you're going to be showing up in their inbox every single week. And a really good example of this that I run into regularly is with food bloggers who have the opportunity to write a cookbook. So they get a cookbook deal. It's super exciting. And then they get into the process of writing the cookbook. And it is a lot of work to create a cookbook. And it can take over your life for months. And when that happens, you have to let other things go. And very often, one of the first things that people let go, and it's one of the biggest mistakes if you're writing a book, they let their email list go. Okay? If you're writing a book, the last people you want to put on the back burner are your email subscribers, because they're the first people that you're going to try and sell your book to. So it's so crucial that you keep engaged with them through the whole process of writing a book or taking time out to work on whatever project it is. Maybe it's your spring launch, okay? You don't want to disappear while you're creating the launch. You want to be in contact with them the whole time so that when launch time lands, they're ready to buy. So this is where having this forever series scheduled and in your email provider and going out consistently every week or every 2 weeks, whatever the frequency, is so helpful. It gives you breathing room. It's making you money. It's giving you breathing room, and it helps you maintain that critical level of engagement. It keeps your audience warm. It keeps them there so that, if for some reason you do have to leave, things don't come to a crashing halt. And then you show up 6 months from now trying to sell them something and they're going, "Who is this?" And they unsubscribe. You don't want that. So this is why I'm such a big proponent of them. I think they work so hard for the minimal investment required to get them up and running. They work so hard in the background. They're also a great way to passively sell. So I have one client, she has 2 cookbooks. Those cookbooks go in the footer of every single email in her Forever series. So she's not yelling and screaming at them to buy a cookbook. They're just there. It's just a reminder. Hey, I've written a couple of cookbooks. Here they are. And quite frequently what will happen is you'll get 1 or 2 clicks every email that goes out. It's not going to be a high click volume. That's not what you are aiming for. You're just aiming for consistency. You want to get it in front of people that you have something to sell every week. So it might not be cookbooks. Let's say you run an Etsy shop. What are your top 2 bestsellers in your Etsy shop? I bet you have a couple. Maybe it's an art print. Maybe it's a greeting card. Maybe it's a particular style of earrings. Those can go in the footer of every single newsletter so that they're always there. And if it's a bestseller, tell them it's a bestseller. It could be the bestseller these are the bestsellers shop. I'm getting all tongue-tied here because I'm so excited. These are shop my bestsellers, and then just have pictures of them. You don't have to go into a big blurb about them. You don't have to put pricing in. You just have to put pictures and a link. And make sure the pictures are clickable as well. If they click on the picture, make sure that it takes them to your Etsy shop or your Shopify shop. If you run a program, let's say, I know one of the things that Heather does, she runs a bitching gallery wall workshop fairly regularly on Zoom. Let's say she decided to make that an evergreen webinar that people could watch at any time. she could put that in the footer of her newsletter so that so every week it goes out and there it is. You can sign up for my Bitch and Gallery Wall workshop and they can go watch it at any given point in time. So if you've got any type of consistent, always available program, I know some of you run classes on getting started with painting or how to journal. There's tons of things out there. Make sure that's in the footer. If you've got a supremely popular YouTube video, put that in the footer. Okay, but the key here is you want to focus on the things that don't change very often. That's why bestsellers are a good one. That's why if you have cookbooks that are available, that's a good one. That's why if you have a YouTube video that does well all the time, that should go in the footer, because you don't want to have to go out and change that out too frequently, but it is a good idea to go have a look at it at least once a year and see if you need to update that. So the last question that I have been asked is, okay, that's great, but what do I do if I have seasonal content? And that's a really good question. So most of my clients have more than one forever series. One of them, she has a forever series that goes out throughout the year, but she also has smaller forever series. They probably shouldn't be called forever series because they're not, but they're very seasonal focused. So you might have one on, if you're in the food space, you might have a forever series that runs from October through to the first week of January. And it will contain Halloween content, it will contain Christmas content, and it will contain, or Hanukkah content, or whatever seasonal events that you talk about in your content. And it will have New Year's content. I have another one who sends out a forever series based around summer fruit. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. Some send them out in conjunction, so you'll get the regular weekly forever series that goes out every week throughout the whole year, and then you will also get an additional email during those key periods for that particular business. I have others who actually pause their forever series, run the seasonal one, let it go its course, and then unpause the forever series. So there's different ways that you can do it. It's going to depend also on your email platform. Some of them have more extensive tools than others. Pretty much all of them will let you send out a regular forever series though. So all that to say, there's lots of options, and it really depends on how complex or layered you want to make it. But there are ways to automate this kind of content, and there are ways to create the content in advance. And that's the beauty of it. This doesn't have to take up a lot of your time. It is something that you can do, or you can hire somebody to do it. I mean, this is one of the things that I do in my business. I write forever series for people. I have some people who hire me to write one a week for them every month. I have others who will do a bulk purchase of, say, 10 emails from me once a quarter. I write them for them. They load them up into their system, and away they go. If you love to write, this is something that you can easily do. You can easily write 10 of these in a day, because remember, they're short and sweet. They're little amuse-bouches, appetizers to your main deal. And you can write them very quickly. You could easily write 10 of these in a day, and then you're done for the quarter. And then the next quarter, you write another 10, load them up. And before you know it, at the end of the year, if you do this once every quarter, 10 emails, you'll have 40 emails in your forever series. So they accumulate quickly, and it's a really great way to, like I said, make some extra money. And this is the critical one: stay engaged with your audience, even when you can't necessarily be there in person. So I highly recommend them. They are so simple to set up. They are so simple to get going. They really do run on their own in the background while you're doing other things. And they keep you engaged with the people who are most important to your business. Those all in email subscribers. They're the ones who are there because they love you. They love the work that you do. They want to hear from you. That's why they signed up. And you're giving them what they've come to you for. So I hope that clears up a little, or gives you a little bit more information on what a forever series is. And I hope that you all take some time out to create one for yourselves. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at andshelookedup@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram or on our Facebook page, and she looked up on Facebook. I will put links to all of that in the show notes. Once again, to all of you who did respond to that very long episode that Heather and I did, thank you so much. It was very much appreciated. And I love to hear from all of you anytime. And if you are enjoying the podcast, please go leave us a review on your podcast app of choice. Apple Podcasts has an easy review function, and I believe Spotify has added one too. I haven't really investigated it, but yeah, it's one of the quickest and easiest and most effective ways to support podcasts that you love. So if you have ones that you listen to regularly, not just mine, please give them a review. It means so much. Yeah, so I think that's it for this week. I hope this gave you some ideas of what you can do, and I hope that it helps you build your creative business. And yeah, that's it for this week. I'll be back next week with another new episode, and I will talk to you all then. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the And She Looked Up Creative Hour. If you're looking for links or resources mentioned in this episode, you can find detailed show notes on our website at andshelookedup.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for our newsletter for more business tips, profiles of inspiring Canadian creative women, and so much more. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the show via your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. We always love to hear from you, so we'd love it if you'd leave us a review through iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Drop us a note via our website at andshelookedup.com, or come say hi on Instagram at andshelookedup. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.